Okay, now we're going to discuss our object creation and the basic template you can follow. It's not always not 100% correct, but at least it will get your code to where you're typing. Okay, so here we go. What we're working with is different types of blood classifications. We're always going to wind up with two files at this point. So we're going to have our driver, test blood data. Now within it, we're going to have the two objects we're going to be creating for blood data. So when I issue line 5, out of memory, there's going to be a B1, and it's at this point not going to have any data in it because I haven't sent any to the constructor. So I'll have to use the get and the set later on to work with any data that's in B1. Well, now B2, when I've created it, I've set it the letter A for A and negative. So B2 will have its data present, A, negative, and all the methods that are in blood data will also be accessible within this driver program. Okay, because remember, whenever you work with an object name that's been created, all the instance fields, all of this data, plus any of the methods that are inside blood data will get pulled along with it. Okay, so I've created these two. Well, now that means that I have to have went over and created the instance fields for blood data and at least the constructor. So let's go over to blood data. There's my class. Now here are two of my instance fields. These are instance variable type fields. They're both strings. They're both private. We have private instances, public methods to be able to get to those two pieces of data. Alright, so I've got those two, which also means I have to have a constructor. Now, it's understood again that a constructor, a blank one was out there, and here's my blank one on line 6. I'm not passing any data to it, so technically I'm not filling blood type or RH factor. Now when I hit line 8, that means that the default that I'm going to have for these two pieces of data is going to be O and positive, because that's what a majority of the people have. So when I don't send it any data, it will create the current object, which is this refers to, and it's going to have a blood type of O and an RH factor of positive. Now if I create and instantiate an object and I pass it two strings, then that means it's going to call this constructor and it's going to set my instance fields or my instance variables to what's being passed in. So blood type is being B type, RH factor is whatever's being passed in RH, and I can continue on. However, these are the only mandatory ones I have to have right now. So the minute I put a constructor in that catches data, I have to go ahead and add a blank one, and it has to be first. Okay, so I've gotten that far. Now, to be able to use any of the values of B1 and B2, I have to call the method and reference which one I want to work with the data. B1, remember, is the O positive because I didn't pass anything to it. B2 is the A negative, but I did pass to it. So anytime I want to access either one of these, I have to put the B1 or I have to put the B2 in front of it. So that pretty much gives me my template for blood data. I'm going to have two instance variables, and I have to have a get and a set for every single one of these. And again, the set sends nothing back, but it catches whatever's being passed to it to set that particular variable. So as I go down, I have my template. I have my get and my set for each one of these. One more that I have to have would be a toString. We'll get to that in a second. So I'm back to my driver. So again, when I want to call one of these methods, the only way I can access the contents of the data of both of these is the set. If I want to get the data to print it or anything else, then I have to do the get for both of them. Okay, I'm printing from my driver. However, again, the toString could be put inside my class file. Its primary job is to set the format in a string of the instance variables. So the get is always going to return something. Here I'm in the driver. It's not returning, it's just using it. Hopefully this has helped you somewhat. Again, if I wanted the toString, all I would have to do would be to take the information that I wanted printed, cut it, paste it into the class file, and again, I've got to do the right one. Again, I would have to be able to do my toString, which would be public. Here I'm returning something, so I'd have to return a string. It's called toString, so I can override Java's. I do not have to send it any data, because whenever I tell it what I want to work with, then I just return it. And again, this data is already set, because when I call the toString, all I have to do is tell it a system.out.println, and if it's B1, or in this case it's b.toString. Again, I'm using a little bit more code than I would have to, but hopefully this gets the information across where you can understand it. Good luck tonight.